welcome to What's on Your Mind. My name is Peter Snauwaert and today I give you Arvid De Coster. He's the CEO and co-founder of WeGroup. It's a startup in the insurance space. Actually, Arvid studied history, he dropped out, and he dropped out because he was selling insurances, making lots of money, and a little bit cocky, he started also his own company, WeGroup. Now, the company already exists 3.5 years and he's sharing all his lessons or even failures that he's learned. And also he's very authentic with the techniques that he's applying is also in his personal life. Now, this special guest has been referred to by Michael Humblet, and I'm very grateful, Michael, for referring me Arvid. Now, enjoy this great, authentic, no bullshit conversation with Arvid De Coster. Bye-bye.
Welcome to What's on Your Mind with Peter Snauwaert. Every week a guest talks about his or her story, and that story can inspire you to change your own. Here's Peter.
Hi, Arvid.
Hey, Peter, thanks for having me.
Is Arvid, is that the right pronunciation in English?
Yeah, Arvid, A, whatever you want.
A. What a cliche. Thanks for coming over.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Now, where do we start? We start in the past. Okay. I saw on your LinkedIn that you graduated, or how do you say that? They have a major in history. Is correct?
That's correct. Well, I didn't graduate, to be honest. So
you dropped out.
I dropped out. Yeah, I'm one of those guys. I remember I was doing my master's, and I was also working as an insurance salesman. And at a certain point, I felt that I knew it all, and that I would never do something with history or become a history teacher. Well, it's never that you open the paper and that a company says we're looking for a historian, right? So it's not like I had the feeling that I could really do something with it. And at a certain point, I believed that I was really good at doing the sales in the insurance company that I was working for. And at a certain point, I got to youthfully arrogance, or how do you say that? Mm-hmm. That I was sitting in the classroom or in the auditorium at the university, and I was looking at the professor, and I say, well, if I'm now selling insurance products, I make more than you do. I'm wasting my time over here.
Cookie. The ego of a young man. But why in the hell did you then study history? Would you then, I don't know, studied finance or something? Or I'm going to rephrase my question. When did you start selling insurances and why, actually? Because just of the money?
Yeah, well, to be honest, to answer both questions, I started off history because I've always been the kind of person where I said, okay, if I really want to do something, I'll just do it and I'll see where it gets me, right? So when I graduated from high school, I was like, okay, I find history very interesting. Although my family was like, oh, you're a good talker, so you have to become a lawyer, right? Go to law school. That's what everybody says, right? And then other people said to do economics or finance or things like that. They already knew I was not going to become a doctor, so that's usually the three things your parents want to become: a lawyer, a doctor, or a teacher. Yeah. I choose history, and I said, okay, I'll see where it gets me. And at a certain point, I think I was in the second year of university back then. I was 20 years old. I met a guy who was like very fluent, and he was a student too, but he was always wearing a suit, and like it was actually very strange. He didn't really belong in like the fraternity and typical student environment that I was in. And at a late hour, at some point, I addressed him, and I was like, dude, why are you always wearing the suit? I mean, what's the thing with that? And he said, well, I actually always come from work. I'm basically always working. So we started talking, and it turned out he sold insurance, and he actually sold the idea of selling insurance to me. So he was really good at that. He recruited me. It was,
You were from Hamburger Mannheimer?
Yes, Ergo Insurance. So the previous Hamburger Mannheimer, indeed. So a very B2C, hard selling organization. And he sold the idea to me. And in the beginning, it was about obviously it was about making money, but it was also about doing something new, like being challenged again. I felt like after 2 years of university, obviously I still liked my studies, but 80% of my time was spent at the bar and with friends.
And that first sales conversation, I mean, How did you do it? Weren't you nervous?
I was terribly nervous. Yeah, the idea with Hamburg Mannheimer or Ergo was that you start selling to your friends and your family. So those are the first people you call. And obviously, I tried my conversation quite a few times with my mom, and she said to me, "Well, I'll never buy that product from you, but you can test as much as you can." So that's what I did. I started addressing potential clients. The first thing that I learned over there, and it's something that I still use today, is I was very bad at qualification. So even before going to clients, or doing the sales presentation, the qualifying of those clients, that was terrible. I think 50 or 60% of the prospects that I went to were still students. We sold pension funds and saving plans, so obviously nothing that a student would ever buy, right? So yeah, my qualifying was terrible. And then the very first sales conversation was indeed like they would describe it in the movies, right? I had like these clammy hands, like sweaty hands, and I was very nervous. And it was way too soon as well. I didn't really knew about my stuff. I didn't know about insurance. So I just had like one script that I memorized by heart. And as soon as they asked the question, I completely lost it. And I do remember, because people always ask me when I tell the story, they were like, "Oh yeah, but maybe you got lucky and you sold the first deal or the second deal and you go." But that is actually not true. It took me about 4 months or 5 months to actually sell my first deal. And I still remember that there were other young students in our sales organization as well. And they were selling the first deal or the second deal. So they came into the office and we had like a big screen where it said, "Oh, this guy, he made that many." It was in points. So each sale was worth an amount of points that was then worth an amount of euros in commission, right? So they all were like, "Okay, after the first meeting, this guy sold that much euros and this guy made a deal that," and I was like always first month 0, second month 0, third month 0, so everybody was already thinking that I would give up quite soon because, not selling in the beginning when you are 100% paid in commission is usually where people fall off. I also didn't fit in the organization. I had very long hair. I played in a metal band as well back in the day. So, I was not your typical insurance salesman, right? And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people in the organization were already betting on when I would actually stop, but I really wanted to make that sale.
And what keeps you going? Because,
I think
because you had to, like Michael Humbleck calls it, the lake of rejection.
Yes,
you had to get a lot of no's before to getting that
exactly.
yes.
Exactly, and I did get a lot of no's, both and when I was calling and trying to make the appointments, as well as when I was like trying to actually sell the product. But the thing was, I think I didn't really have anything to lose, right? I was still at university. I wanted to make money, but I didn't need the money. I got my 50 euros each week from my mom to survive at university, of which 99% went to the bar and 1% went to lasagnas in the Aldi.
Yeah, so. And maybe and especially the Monday and the Tuesday of the beginning of the week.
Exactly,
was gone.
It was the best days were indeed Monday and Tuesday, and then I studied on Thursday and Friday. I went home very early, so but that was indeed what it was. But I didn't really have anything to lose, so I was like, okay, I like the idea. It was my first professional experience. I mean, back in high school, I worked like at a restaurant and things like that, but I felt like a real person. A real person maybe sounds a little bit strange, but all of a sudden I was the guy in the suit too, and I liked that idea. I saw how people around me were successful, or
is that what you
I was looking up to them indeed. Okay. So
and now, because you're not wearing a suit today.
No,
I was expecting to have a suit here.
Not at all. No,
with a tie.
My days of suit and tie are long past me. But back in the day, that was what I was looking up to. It was my idea of a successful businessman, how he looked like, and it was. I always enjoyed. I've always been an extroverted person, if that makes sense, right? So I enjoyed being in the center of attention a little bit, right? Like that, and I still enjoy that. So I'm going.
Yeah, but at the same time, because I know you now for quite some time, a couple of months, or you are faking it all the way, but I really think you deep deep inside, you're a genuine nice person. I don't see you as a shark, unless I'm so wrong about you.
I wouldn't say that being sharky means that you are not a nice person. So that's maybe two different things.
Yeah, nice, but also a good person. I think you really want to do good also.
Of course, when I'm obviously like, and a lot of people ask me why are you doing what you're doing, obviously, and I would never say that I am doing it right now. For example, our startup, our company, for the money, and we're doing good. But I genuinely want to make a difference in our industry. I want to help our clients.
And of course, then also there comes a money when there comes an exit, which is normal. But so it's a journey. The journey
for me is important, and that maybe, well, to answer your question, maybe that makes me look like the nice guy, obviously, but I think that inside our sales organization, a lot of people would describe me maybe a little bit more sharky, but...
Is it?
I do think so, but you have to know when you can be sharky, and you have to know when you can be arrogant, and yeah. But it's definitely not playing a role, if that is the question. So playing a part.
Yeah. Now, I mean, then you worked 6 or 7 years into for these insurance companies. Or reinsurance is actually the term, I believe. And at what certain point of time did you say, I mean, your parents, are they entrepreneurs?
No, not at all. They were... I have to say that, and I'm terribly sorry, Mom, if you're hearing this, but I dropped out of university way earlier than I actually told my parents, so they had no idea that I was still subscribed at the university, but that was basically it. So I was registered as a student entrepreneur, as they call it nowadays, but it's some kind of deal that you can make, that you can postpone your exams and things like that. So I first postponed them 2 times, and then I was really honest to myself and didn't go to the exam anyway. But so yeah, that was the deal. And
are they now proud of you, your parents?
They are. Well, I'd like to believe they are, obviously. I very hope so. Okay. I very much hope so. But they didn't really know. And obviously, your parents, they always want to protect you in a way, right? So obviously, my mom, when I was going to work for this insurance company, and I said I wanted to go full time, because at some point I had to admit that, Mom, I don't think I will graduate. Like, I don't think that we will have the party for my diploma. It's not going to happen.
And to throw that hat in
the air. To throw that hat. So we're not throwing hats, unfortunately. And obviously, I mean, she wants to protect me. What if you don't like it? And what if this happens? And that? So she was, but I really didn't care. I was already doing well. I was already doing at that point.
But you knew when you started WeGroup, you know, this ignites me. This is on fire. This will happen. This is the thing. Although I don't know exactly the product or the target group, but and what was the trigger to start that company? What was because then you could also go another route, but why did you want to start your own company?
Actually, and it's a very good question, because if I would have stayed in insurance as a sales executive, I would have probably made lots of money, but the satisfaction wouldn't have been there for me. I was confronted with. I started as a salesperson myself, but after 2.5 years, I was leading my very first salespeople. So I had a sales team of about 6 or 7 people. So I was becoming more of a sales coach rather than actually a sales executive or an account executive. And I was confronted with the problems in the market every day. So the end customer who said, I don't really trust my insurance company, and if I pay my entire life and then I have a claim and it will never be paid out, and they're just going to fuck me over. Pardon my French. That was really and I was like, there should be a solution to this all, right? And then, as of by a miracle, one of the guys in my team, and it's actually a very funny story, he was an engineer, but he wanted to become more he was a very introverted engineer and wanted to become more extroverted. And I sold an insurance plan to him, and he called me the next day and I said, I want to be like you. I want to be able to convince people just like that. I want to work for you. So it's really, it feels almost like some sort of a Wolf of Wall Street story, but it really, really happened like that. And I didn't really feel it. I was like, yeah, maybe it's not going to be your thing. And he said, well, you'll have to hire me. And I was like, well, it's 100% commission. So basically I can, but I have to put my time into you to train you. And he said, yeah, because I already quit my job. So it's actually 100%. We are going to do this. So I was obviously charmed by the way that he brought it to me. And he was an engineer. And from the very first day on, we started thinking of how can we make this more efficient? How could we use, for example, in the future? Well, not really how could we use technology, but he was always always saying, oh, there are technology solutions that would make this sales process so much easier, so much more efficient. And he was explaining me about things like artificial intelligence, which for me was the stuff of Star Wars and other science fiction movies. So I never heard about things like that before. And at a certain point we said, okay, either we are going this way, we're just going to stop and talk about it, or we are going to move this way and we need to start our own company. And we decided to actually start our own company together, and from that point on WeGroup was born. So that was the story.
Wow. So you're the co-founder and he's the other one co-founder.
Well, that is also a very tough story. We started off together. He was the CTO, I was the CEO, basically. If you want, well, we were only the two of us. So, but if you want to put a C level on it, whatever. Well, it worked out very well in the beginning, but it turned out after a while that the stress that we were going through at that point was not really his thing. You know, he's a good entrepreneur and he's still a good friend of mine today. And he does great things, but we were in a very, very difficult position, right?
Because of cash flow and getting customers in, stable product and things like that.
Exactly. We started off as a B2C product, so in the first 2 months, we wasted all the money that we had on trying to do marketing. It was not coming out. We didn't have any focus, so we basically were at the point where we had no customers and no cash, and it was looking very, very bad. And for him, it got a little bit too tough. By that time, there was also a third co-founder who joined the party, so a CFO, more a financial type of guy. And we started to look for solutions, even to the point where the CFO said, well, I'm not sure if this will work out, if we're getting there. And that's actually the point where we said, okay, I'm dropping out. Sorry, I can't really take it. I feel it's weighing too much on my personal level as well. He was about to get married at that time, and it was, I think he was getting a tough time at home as well. I actually got single in the same month, but I choose the other way. So that's basically how it went. Very, very tough times, and we parted ways as friends. And our very first employee, who was also an engineer, he actually stepped up, still a student back then, took the CTO role.
Is that Sebastian?
No, Bjorn.
Okay.
Sebastian was the second employee that we have. So Bjorn was the first one. He took the CTO role. Later on, he also invested. So he joined in the first round. With very creative ways. So.
Now, how long does WeGroup now exist?
3.5 years.
Yeah,
so 3.5 years.
And if you look back now, of all the people you hired, the first you did yourself. I mean, how did you hire? Did you hire based on values or competencies or attitudes? But what are the things that you learned there that you made, I would say, mistakes?
Yeah.
Or you look at how much pressure does somebody can handle, or his social life or age, or how do you do that? Well,
the thing is, we started our very first hire after the two engineers. So the two guys who are basically at the foundation of WeGroup.
They are developers, eh?
They are developers, Sebastian and Bjorn. But the very first hire after that one was actually an HR manager. So the reason that we did that was that we saw that if we wanted to hire development people or engineers, we would probably never be able to pay them as much as, for example, a Big Four company or Showpad or whatever would be able to. So I thought like the thing that we can really make the difference is by bringing company culture that is really, really good, because people want to work at startups. It's a hype, and we need somebody to actually do the hires, recognize that these people fit in the team, and to guard that company culture exactly.
And that purpose-driven mission thing.
Exactly.
That fun part.
Exactly. So that's why when Wouter, our HR manager, joined up, and he actually built up the culture.
And how did you recruit Wouter? Was it somebody you knew?
Yes, he was. Our CFO knew him, and he was actually a corporate psychologist, but he was working at the bar in Ghent back at that day. So there was like a huge opportunity. He still makes cocktails now at WeGroup too from time to time. So it was definitely not for nothing that he worked at the bar, but. Yeah, no, we came at that point. He was brought into the company and he started building it together with the founders actually, and that worked out really great. So I would say that our hiring process from the very beginning was very good. We hired really good profiles. I'm actually it's also being a bit lucky, but luck is a part of the game as well, obviously. But our first, I would say, 10 hires were actually really good. They're still with us today.
Wow.
They're doing great stuff. They're all stepped up because they were all basically students when they joined up, but now they stepped up their game. They are our mid and top level management, and they really developed themselves as being, even though most of them are engineers, so more introverted people usually as well, but they stepped up as being real people managers and leader of people
and entrepreneurs
actually, or entrepreneurs, whatever you want to call it, within our company. So that was great. So I wouldn't say that we made great mistakes in the hiring process. Yet where we made the greatest mistakes when it comes to HR, it's in the firing process. You
fired too late.
We fire way too late, yeah. Still, up till today, it's still a challenge. We try to repurpose people if we see that it's not a match, and it's usually it's not always a matter of the fact that they are not skilled enough, but they don't mix up with the team good enough, or they don't. The fit is simply not there, and that is sometimes even harder. The fit is very much there, but there is a problem with skill, and then we try to find a new purpose or a new role for them in the company. And that is the mistake that we made a little bit too often. It's very hard. Yeah.
So you hired first an engineer, a developer, then an HR manager, and the sales. Was it then first sales guys or girls that you hired, or marketing? Because you are a sales guy. I assume that the first deals, the first customers, you sold yourself.
Exactly. I would say that the first 20-25 SME deals, that because we pivoted along the way from B2C to B2B, and actually in B2C we never really made any customers. So we obviously legally we started in 2017, but it's only in November 2018 that we did the pivot. And for everybody in the company, that's the start of WeGroup as we know it today, right? And the first 20-25 SME deals were done with myself. So that was about, I would say, between 5 to 10K of monthly recurring revenue, something like that. So just to get the hang of it, and obviously, nobody who can tell the story better than the founder.
Yeah, of course, and the passion.
Right? And the passion to bring it to the clients. So I didn't think that we really needed sales people very early on, because I thought, okay, I can do this. So the first, I think 10 hires or 8 hires, something like that, were all, apart from the HR guy, were all development profiles or engineering profiles. And then we actually hired our first sales.
And when was that then? What was the trigger to hire the first? Because you were spending too much time on the sales than being the CEO, co-founder?
Yeah. Exactly. The problem was that we were heading towards our pre-seed funding round, so I had a lot of time that actually went to...
and then you need to sell the company.
Exactly. You need to sell the company to the VCs, to the investors. And, it was basically angel investors in our very first round. Exactly. And it took a lot of time from me. And I felt that, okay, we are making the mistake that I've read about in books so many times. I'm putting too much time in the investment round, and the sales is lacking behind, so that might be a huge issue.
That is one of the, if you read the book of Jürgen Engels, that's one of his key takeaways.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a great book, by the way. I read it. I read it, I think, in one day or something like that. It's one of the, because I'm a very.
And do you also bought a Porsche?
No, I didn't buy the Porsche. I tried to convince the boards of buying me a Porsche, but they didn't take it.
That story I find hilarious.
Yeah, I'll try again in a couple of months.
Trying to commission your sales guys by giving them Porsche in the weekend. Amazing.
It is amazing, and I can imagine. Like I said, when working at Ergo that would have worked there. 100% sure it would have worked. These guys, even driving only to pick up a date in a Porsche, they would have went to the moon and back for that. So I can imagine that. However, in our organization, I'm not sure if it would work. It's not part of our culture. Although we also talk about Lambos, we call it Lamborghini culture sometimes. But the Lambo became some sort of a metaphor for reaching the goal or reaching the dream. It's not that everybody wants to have a Lamborghini. I'm not a big car man myself, for example. but it became as a metaphor. So like I was saying, the sales story, or where we hired the first sales person, was actually I think after half a year, something like that we were
And was it then a trigger because you were starting conversations with investors that you immediately said, yeah, let's do it, because I cannot combine this
exactly. And when you were talking earlier about making mistakes in hiring,
learning lessons
is sounds better indeed, more diplomatic. That's right.
Well, it's not diplomatic. It's just shifting your perspective. I mean, a failure sounds so, it's the failure, but a lesson is something. Okay, we'll not do that again.
Exactly. But I'm a very I like everything around American and Silicon Valley type of startup, and failing is very hot over there. Learn from your failures. So, fail fast, fail forward, things like that. So I have no problems at all calling it failing, but whatever. The learnings that I took from that is that I am a sales. We hired a sales, but indeed we should have hired a marketing profile. That was really, I really believe that. We see that right after today we became
because sorry to interrupt, because you would hire, if you would do it again, you would hire a marketing profile, because the sales was doing all the hard work about the, how do you say that, the preaching and spreading the word, evangelizing. That's the word I was looking for. And so he was basically doing sales and marketing because there were no leads coming in, correct?
Exactly. That is the problem. The thing is that I came from a very sales-driven or hard sales organization, and I tried to rebuild what I learned there in my new organization. So I was like, okay, guys, we got a cold call, and our KPI is how many cold calls, and then how many meetings, and then how many closes. That's basically...
So, but that means that the conversion rate you had with cold calling in a B2B market was much lower than expected.
Exactly. And it is because we didn't qualify our leads. We didn't have any leads coming in. So everything was cold. There was no lead generation. And now, actually, a couple of months ago, we changed the entire process.
Thanks to Michael.
Thanks to Michael Humblé, indeed, who was a great help to us and enabling us
who introduced me to you, by the way.
Who introduced us, exactly. So,
thank you, Michael.
Well, thank you, Michael. Michael is good for a lot of things, apparently, but exactly. And there we saw that lead generation, or that lead machine, actually needs to be spinning 24/7. It needs to be an oiled machine, and that really works. And if we look at our sales today, it's actually, I'm not shy to admit that the past 4 months are the first 4 months that we hit every target. So before that, we were doing good sales, but our targets were always high, and we never really hit the target, which was demotivating for our sales guys as well, obviously. Although we had a healthy growth as a startup, we were growing.
Yeah, but you did not know how to set the targets. No. It's something you just say. Exactly. If you think it's going to be like this, and it's a kind of a hit and miss thing.
Exactly. Yeah. But now, we still have to say, we simply said back in the past we want to triple our revenue. So triple, double, the classic fist rule, you could say. So we want to triple our revenue, and now is actually, it looks like we are, for the first year, we're going to actually do it.
And the secret behind that is that you hired then a marketing profile, a good marketing growth hacker, maybe some top guy. And when the time you hired that, him or her, it's a her, right? Yeah. So imagine that it is January you hired her, and then in March you exceeded your quota. Yeah. What is the time there? How many months did it take to really see the effect of the marketing person?
We already had her. So our marketing manager was already there. But in the first few months that she was on board, she was mainly doing things that were not really what she should have been doing. And because we said we had her, not that it was her fault, obviously, but we set the wrong goals. For example, she was being busy too much with the website and not with direct lead generation, things like that. So I would say that after we shifted our ID towards the more
content.
Content marketing machine, American styles of marketing and sales, going from a marketing qualified lead to an SQL to the story that everybody in sales probably, or at least in
marketing and sales, so typically SaaS.
Exactly, typically SaaS models, what we implemented. It went really, really fast. We started creating our content in November, December, something like that. We started launching our content shortly after New Year 2021, so only 3 months ago. And exactly from the very first month on, leads started to flow in. It was a lot easier. Our closing rates skyrocketed. It was way easier actually to make an appointment or to get a meeting to actually close the deal. Whereas today we see that we are at closing rates of 50-60% for an account executive, which is incredibly high. I've never seen that, not in my past at least.
But I assume also that you have learned them with the help of Michael to qualify, I assume.
Exactly. Yeah, it's literally we really work with the sales spots right now, where we have an SDR, sales development rep, actually qualifying the leads, doing the first call of 10 minutes where we determine the need of our client. This I'm talking our SME clients right now. Enterprise is a different story. Where she qualifies them, where she is looking, okay, what are the needs? What are you looking for? She puts it into our system where she says, okay, well, I spoke with this client for 10 minutes. He has a problem with efficiency and he wants more partnerships with third parties. For example, he's an insurance broker and he wants to work together with a car dealer and partner up, things like that. So our account executive or product experts, as we call them, they know exactly, because we have right now 10, 15 features in the product, which enabled before that a demo meeting was taking almost 2 hours because our sales guys wanted to show simply everything. But now they simply show whatever we can link to that need. So for example, if they say we want to work more efficient, then we show our sales automation features. If we want to work with partnerships, we show what we call our campaigning features, so working together with third-party insurance vendors and things like that. And it's going way better. So our sales do more deals in less time.
So the SDR and then somebody else?
Then the product expert takes over, so the account executive takes over.
And isn't that hard? Because you cannot transfer a feeling and you cannot transfer a relationship. I mean, I assume that the SDR is delivering a first experience, then the product expert then needs to deliver an even more better experience to compensate a little bit that loss of, okay, first it's with this person, she or he understands me, she understands my problem or my challenge. It's the wording. And then, somebody else pops in.
That is exactly...
Because that's the thing that I'm always doubting of that model. Because I'm like, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Of course, it depends on the profile of the people. But I find it a difficult one because you cannot transfer relationships.
It's exactly what I was afraid about, but I was like, okay, let's just see how we can roll this out, how it works. And the thing is, how we did it is our SDR actually gives the feeling that she or he is the salesperson. So for example, the broker starts talking with our SDR and they actually have the feeling, okay, first of all, it's about needs and consultative selling and all the tricks in the book, of course. But the broker thinks that the SDR is actually the sales. So they're having a conversation just over phone, 5 minutes, 10 minutes about their needs, something like that. And then the SDR at some point says, well, what we could actually do, because I really understand what your needs are, what we could actually do is show you how our product solves that problem or solves these problems for you. However, I could do it myself and I can do it right away. So you have to imagine they're still on the phone at this moment. I can do it right away. Would you be able to jump on a Zoom call right now? Most of the time, they don't have the time for that because it's not a cold call, but they still didn't expect that call. They know who we are, but they still didn't expect that call. So they don't have the time. They said, no, well, I would be interested in a demo, obviously, but I can't make time for now. And then she says, so she keeps playing the role, or he keeps playing the role, and the SDR says, well, actually, I have a better idea, okay? I understand that you're a little bit busy right now, but what I will do is actually, since the problems that you have, for example, efficiency and partnering up with third parties, we actually have a product expert in our team who's like experted and just these two things. He helped like tons of brokers, but only these problems. Maybe it's better if we schedule a demo with him. And that's where it goes from the SDR to the account executive who closes.
And the AA, the account executive closes then the deal.
Exactly, yes.
Mostly after the demo.
Mostly after the demo.
And then they make a proposal?
Yeah, they make an offer. It's mostly done right away. We have 3 different packs that customers can choose, a bronze, a silver, and an enterprise pack. Whereas, to be completely honest, the enterprise pack is actually to make the bronze and the silver one look a little bit less expensive. So again, like I said, all the tricks in the book for every client who is hearing this podcast. I'm terribly sorry. But apart from that... the offer is made right away. So after the meeting, they get a proposal in their mailbox. We're talking still SME business, right? So these are contracts of like an annual recurring revenue value of let's say between 4 and 7K on average, something like that. So it's not the biggest deals, obviously. So first of all, the sales cycle needs to be short because otherwise customer acquisition would be way too high. But secondly, it goes way fast. It's not like these brokers, they usually don't need to think about it that long. Either they are convinced after the sale, and like most of our sales after the demo call, they sign between within 2 and 3 business days, something like that. So.
Now, I mean, you have sales blood, sales DNA in your body. Do you sell yourself still?
You mean like to investors, for example, or to
investors indeed selling, of course. But bigger customers, do you jump in sometimes?
Like that, yeah. Yes, I do. So the enterprise customers, I do some sales as well. We have one person who is actually working on enterprise and key accounts, both as an, I would say, crossover between account manager and account executive. So she makes new deals, but she also handles our key accounts for upselling potential, obviously.
But it's not like you're filling your days with looking at Excel sheets behind your desk.
No, I need it. I need to be on the road as well. Okay. So sometimes I just need to be with a customer and be in a negotiation. It's not always from the start. So sometimes it gets prospected by somebody else.
You're the CEO, so you have to play the role. If you come in too early. Then,
exactly. It's the same. I also do some account management or customer success as well, because sometimes, and again, I'm not shy to admit that in the beginning we had a lot of technical product problems,
which is normal.
Which is normal, exactly. And then in a lot of cases, we need to play what we call our CEO cards, where this broker gets the call from the CEO who personally apologizes for, and obviously, I mean, now it sounds very arrogant, but we want to make it, because these guys, the insurance industry is a very controversial one, conservative industry, right? Okay. So having these guys who are usually 40, 45, 50 years old, these brokers, they are, most of them, especially the smaller ones, they are honored that if they work with an insurance company, that they, for example, have the opportunity to have a dinner with a C-level, for example. Yeah. So although we are a very small company, in a lot of cases smaller,
but you make the decisions, you can push the buttons if needed.
Exactly, yeah, that's what they like, obviously, but we make it look like we are a little bit bigger than we are, so they think that we are structured as an insurance company. Obviously, it's not the same as having a dinner with me, it's not the same as having a dinner with the AXA CEO, for example.
We'll talk again within 5 years, you don't know how
within
it went.
Within 5 years, it might be another story, but today, I mean, I like to see myself as being down to earth.
Is that your drive to build a very big company?
That is a very good question. I always say, or I like to think about myself as being a good startup CEO, as what I would call a creation CEO.
You like the building part.
The building part.
But once it builds...
I'm not 100% sure if I would be a good CEO, and obviously I've never done it before, right?
Well, maybe it's your thing. If you look at Dan De Wever from Destiny, now it's €100 million company.
Yes.
I mean, he founded it. He also he doesn't have any degree because he partied too much and he organized parties. And I asked him also that question, and I evolved.
Exactly.
But still, he has an MD to do that operational part.
Yeah.
If you look at also Jonas Danes, he's CEO, but he has somebody else who is doing more the operational, managing of the people part, whereas Jonas is doing more strategic stuff, acquisitions and things like that. And he's still CEO. He's not a side thing. And he still can make decisions. And he still is waiting in the line with all the other employees if they hired some kind of... how do you call that? A truck with French fries. He's not going to say, I'm CEO, I have to... No. He's going to wait because he treats everybody the same as he is.
Yeah, that is... I would say that for me, and it remains to be seen, right? I can't say, will I be a good CEO, for example, a company of 100 or 200 people or whatnot? Maybe I will, maybe I won't, we'll see. I always tell to our investors or to our board that although I'm not gonna lie, I like my position right now, but I am not my ego is not that important, that if tomorrow comes a better CEO that would be better for our company, I would step aside.
Your baby is still, your company is still your baby.
It's still my baby, which means that, and that's what I say to the boards, you need to convince me that the guy you're going to replace me with is better than I am. So I need to believe that he is going to be a better father for my baby than I am, because obviously in the end it's my company, but we all want to make a profit as well, and we all want to see it grow and increase in value and increase in solutions towards our customers and things like that. And if somebody else is doing a better job at that, it would hurt me, obviously. I'm not going to lie about that, but I would step aside. Yet, as of today, I am convinced that I am still the best guy for this role. So today, it's 100% me.
You just mentioned the word ego. Mm-hmm. How do you keep your ego in check? I mean, you're successful, as they call it, between brackets. How young are you?
I'm 28. Sorry,
28. I mean, that's still a phase where ego, especially compared with your friends from university, you're doing a great job. Although people, I'm going to say something very shocking right now. I mean, success is like being pregnant. Everybody congratulates you because you're pregnant, but nobody knows how many times you were fucked. Because it's and that's also a thing. I also can. I think it's like, because I've seen it myself, is that you have to work very hard. You make lots of mistakes. You're on your own, and it's not easy to find people where you can have some kind of have you been there before, yes, and that you can talk about, because you're all with very young people, and how do you keep your ego in check, that you because if your ego comes into place, then towards your investors, towards your employees, then it's customers. How do you do that? How do you I don't know, do you still play in your metal band? Because if you play in a band and you play with other people of all walks of life, I mean, they don't care if you're CEO, they just care if you're a drummer, eh?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, so they just, Arvin, shut the fuck up and play your drums. And make noise.
Well, unfortunately, I don't play in the band, and I don't play in a band anymore.
But seeing me playing guitar, it's still sparkling.
It triggers me. I saw you play, and I was like, damn, I miss it. I have to be honest that in the dark days of WeGroup in the very beginning, I was forced to sell my drum to eat, basically. That was where we are. Along with everything else that I needed to sell. So I basically sold everything I had to survive. But apart from that, I when I see you play on the guitar, I really think like, okay, I should get a kit again, and
now you can pay on, of course, I assume.
Well, now I would be able to buy a drum kit, I guess. So maybe in the near future we'll be doing that again. But it's not that to come back to the ego part. It's not that I feel better than anybody else.
How do you do that? Do you have like friends, or do you have like in WeGroup some guys who are like, Arvid, tune it down a little bit, guy? I mean, you're doing great, but you know what I'm saying, because I've went through to that period, and I saw lots of people doing that, especially around your age and a little bit around 30, 32. They think the sun shines through their ass.
Yeah,
it's a kind of a phase, and you think that everything you touch has become gold, and it isn't. You're just a human.
I think that maybe I'm a little bit ahead of my age, and now it's very hard to keep my ego in check, because now it might sound a little bit arrogant. But the fact that we went through so much shit that we were fucked royally a lot of times, actually, in the beginning of WeGroup, learned me to appreciate, I guess, where I come from. Also, as a background, it's my parents were they were amazing parents, but it's not like I've been grown up in great wealth or something like that. I guess it keeps me a little bit down to earth. Yet, obviously, sometimes arrogance takes over a little bit. But as I usually tell to other people, you have to know when you can be arrogant, and you have to know when you have to shut your mouth. And that is actually, I think that is maybe one of the most valuable lessons knowing when to shut up is maybe one of the most valuable lessons that I learned in the past few years.
The hard way, I assume, because
the hard way. Yeah, people always tell me it's a wonder that you didn't get more hit in the face, like literally punched in the face, literally back in the day, and it is exactly a wonder. I guess I was always able to talk my way out of it, but yeah. Maybe I could have used some more punching back in the day.
Now, if you look within 10 years, where is Arvid? Is the WeGroup still there, or is it sold?
A very good question. And again, one that I will answer with an answer that's maybe not a yes or no or a simple answer.
But you don't know. You don't have a glass ball.
Exactly. I don't have a glass orb, so I obviously don't know.
Will you ask yourself that question? I assume.
I have my own goals, right? And today I am definitely not done with WeGroup. So if you ask me today, is WeGroup still around there in 10 years, and are you still steering the ship or at the helm of the ship? Then the answer is yes, because today I feel the fire is still there as much or even more than it was there in the beginning, and I still want to do so many more things. So definitely yes. However, I am always going to look at potential opportunities. If tomorrow there might be an opportunity for an exit, and it's something that I can live with, that is good for me, and I don't only mean in a financial way, but also that is good for the product, good for the people, good for the clients, things like that. That I believe, okay, this is actually the stepping stone to something big. That might be a good thing. And after that, I might be founding another company. I might. I don't know. I always said that I was interested in other startups as well. I like to help other startups. So maybe I go and work at a VC, for example, and help other startups, or it could be anything. Maybe I'm traveling the world or on a rocket to Mars, for all I know.
Maybe you find a woman and get babies.
Yeah, that's also a possibility.
Now, also Frank Maan, eh?
Yes.
Yeah. One of the things that's the reason why I lost my hair. Luckily, I look sexy with my new haircut. But it's due to hard work and stress, lots of hard work and stress. And I was actually quite proud of working very hard and not sleeping a lot. Do you also have that?
Yes. And in the very early days, I wore the fact that I slept 3 or 4 hours a night, and that I worked 20 hours a day. That I was behind a computer 20 hours a day.
You were on.
I was on 20 hours a day. I wore that as a medal, right? And I was telling it to other people. Today I see that is not necessarily the right way. It's also, by the way, in Jurgen Engels' his book, so it's another great learning over there. But today I understand that there are other things that need to be. You
work out,
as well.
Recently,
I work out,
which is a big part of the WeGroup culture. Eh?
Exactly. I started getting personal training.
You look, you're almost ready for a Tomorrowland six-pack body.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'm trying to do my best over there, but
keep your clothes on.
Yeah, now my ego is getting bigger. But exactly. I work out a lot, and that is one of the things. Getting into shape.
Was one of the drivers to say, okay, working. I worked a lot. I'm eating quite of processed food, so
exactly
fancy, greasy, sugary stuff, and the energy level is going down.
Yes.
I need to also
exactly. I felt unhealthy, yet I didn't really realize that I felt unhealthy. I took a trial run with a personal trainer. They helped me with both sports and with food, exactly. Nutrition, exactly. And after that, the way that I've been feeling, the energy that I've been feeling is way better. Same with sleep, for example. The days of only sleeping 3-4 hours is past me. I try to sleep. I still wake up every day at 5 o'clock, both in the weekend, 5 a.m. in the weekend, in the weekend. So it's
is the 5 a.m. thing? Is that then some typical startup miracle morning?
Well, not really,
thing?
because
or is it just because you're just used to?
I'm a morning person. I'm productive in the morning, so for me it works. But back in the day, I went to sleep at 1 or 2, and I woke up at 5 as well. And now I try to sleep my 6 or 7 hours. I think 6 is actually is enough for me. So 11 is what I try to go to sleep. And getting more sleep obviously is also an important part of that new routine. So I work less in hours, but I am more productive I'm more
creative.
efficient, creative, exactly. So it really helps. But it's not that I believe that there is a set base rule for that. For example, the 5 a.m. thing. If we look at our CFO, for example, he's a night owl, and he works at night. So we call it the changing of the guard. Even sometimes when I wake up, he goes to bed. So that's how it works.
That's it's also a lesson I learned the hard way. Good food, water, sports. I mean, it's not the amount of hours. It isn't, because after a certain period, you think you're productive, but the things you're actually doing take so much time and effort that if you would just rest and eat something decent, and that you would find the solution right away, instead of trying to chew on it.
Yeah, that's completely what it is. I see it now when I look back at the day. I write a lot down. I'm one of those people who...
You're a journal.
What?
You have a journal.
Yeah, I have well, not a journal to describe how my day was, but for example, whenever I have an idea, I always need to write it down, put it in schemes and schedules and things like that, boxes and with lots of colors and things like that. When I look at my work, between brackets, what I've written down, for example, my ideas, my insights from 6 months ago, for example, and especially because I do it all on my iPad, so I see how late it was when I made them.
Yeah.
If I look at the ones that I made, for example, late at night, back in my 3-4 hour sleep routine, without sports, a lot of processed food, things like that, and if I look at what I do right now, the quality of what I'm creating for myself, and sometimes it's still shit, I'm not going to deny, but the quality that I'm creating, it's way better than it used to be back then. So for me, it works. And obviously, you need to find out, because obviously what I'm telling now is something that a lot of entrepreneurs and mentors and coaches told me back in the day as well. You need to work out, and a healthy body and healthy mind, and healthy body rather, things like that. So everybody told me, but you need to understand it for yourself. I was too.
But you never faced a wall that you felt like, ooh, I'm low on energy. Or this meeting, because when you don't have enough sleep, you forget things, and I don't find you can be sharp in meetings, and that you really are there. I mean, if I have good night rest, I feel that I'm on fire, and then when certain things happen, I don't take it personally. I found a solution, and then we solve the problem, and then we move on. Especially when they're based in the more emotional space, when people are not so happy or something was said and was not taken good. So you have to coach them and really go into more emotional conversations, which I think for a male is something we did not learn from our society, from our parents. At least that's why what I assume. So, but when I'm tired, then everything, I wouldn't say it's blacker, but
that's definitely true. And it's also it became part of the WeGroup culture as well. So not only for me, but also for our people. I always say now, like, if you start feeling like there is a loss of energy, go and take a walk, or even in our office, we have like places where you could even, if you want, where you could sleep. Not that people are sleeping all the time, but the possibility is there.
A power nap or something.
Exactly, a little power nap. For me, it doesn't work, but if it works for you, you can do it. And we try to incorporate that into our culture as well. Same with the sports thing. Everybody gets the opportunity to actually, we try to challenge everybody into sports. We work with healthy nutrition for our people. We get them personal training as bonuses and things like that. So they get personal trainers, and it really works well. Everybody is really enthusiastic, and it for me, I think it's the key for us. It has been the key towards the next level.
Now I'm going to say something quite shocking. So I mean, food, nutrition, and rest is indeed very important. But in order to be creative, I also discovered another technique which I cannot live anymore without it. I can also be a very extroverted person, and the thing is to shut the fuck up for 20 minutes twice a day. They call it mindfulness or meditation. And in the beginning it sounds really cloudy, very what the hell is this? But for me, just shutting up 20 minutes and just closing my eyes, it's not sleeping, you're not laying down, you're sitting on a chair, So you're sitting like this, and your head. So you cannot sleep. Unless you're really tired. But is that something also, the mindfulness thing? That's more the heavyweight, the lightweight version of it. Is that also something that you're looking at, or are you?
What we did for our first of all, I have to say that towards this, I always have been quite skeptical.
Of course,
but again, I was also quite skeptical towards working out during office hours and things like that, which now I changed my mind about as well, as I just told. One of the things that we did is we have Headspace for all our employees.
That's Headspace,
exactly.
That's the thing. That's it. That's mindfulness.
Yes. So all our employees get it. To be very honest, I haven't used it myself yet. So
but why did it come? Was it HR who said to you? Is it an initiative of an HR?
We're actually, we're always on top of insurance stuff, and there is a new InsurTech in France. Well, new, they were quite big in France already, but they recently launched in Belgium. They're called Alam. And they are a health insurance company, which also works towards being healthier in several ways. And they, as a health insurance company, they pay back Headspace. We took the health insurance on top of our normal health insurance. So we have actually two for all our employees right now, where they get Headspace for free. For free. They get it reimbursed. It's something that we wanted to provide for our employees as well.
And do you know if people are using it actually?
Yes, actually I'm hearing very good things in our company, both from people who were very skeptical as well as from people who were into mindfulness and meditation or yoga and things like that already in the past. So like I said, I have to try it for myself still. Yet I do explore like breathing exercise. Well, in the personal training course, there is also breathing.
It's mindfulness. It's
exactly,
all the same.
Yeah.
It's same with yoga. It's just a way to, with the thoughts that are coming in, to really focus on your breath or on the thing you're doing actually, so that you are how do you say that, grounded, that you are really and it sounds. I can imagine it sounds. I was really skeptical because I'm a very left brainer, but I saw, I think 4 or 5 years ago, a Google talk. I was triggered, Google, of a news anchor of ABC, a guy in a suit, and he was telling 1 hour about meditation, how it changed his life because he was doing cocaine to make him feel to de-stress actually, and then he and the way he told me that, I was really like, whoa, if that works for that guy, I should try that, because I'm quite curious on these kind of things. And I'm like, and I tried it, and there is no hocus pocus. I also tested the Headspace, but for me, and a lot of people think I'm crazy, and I can really recommend it. But now I found solutions and for things that other people, for problems that they say. And also you learn, and I think as a sales, one of the biggest qualities, I think as a result of that, I learn now to feel the room.
Yeah.
So this means that when you walk in and I get to know you, I can feel the non-verbal signals that you're trying to say, which helps you with qualifications.
It's actually what I hear all the time. So I truly believe that it's there. The thing is that most people, or a lot of people, are skeptical, or there is skepsis about meditation and things like that, is because there is this spiritual
religious
area, religious thing around it.
You think it's like Buddha or whatever.
Exactly. They think you sit in the mountains and after a while you start levitating or things like that. You fly away. So that's obviously not what it is. So I hear that all the time. Yet for me, I'm the kind of person that when I change things on a personal level in my life, I have to do it in certain steps, And the first one for me was the nutrition part and the sports part.
You cannot do everything at the same time.
Exactly, because after a while, if I would do that, I know myself. If I would do that, I would stop. So I need to build it in. I need to create a routine. Same with when I back in the day decided, okay, I want to wake up at 5 a.m. I have to know at university I slept until 12. So like all university students, I guess. But when I started the business, I was more of an 8 or 9, 9 a.m. or maybe not, but 8 a.m. or something like that. And I just turned back the clock or turned back my routine half an hour by half an hour until I was used to this 5 a.m. routine, right? And now it's there. And even if I don't even put an alarm anymore.
Is it?
Yeah, no, not a single day. I wake up at, not 5 a.m. Tops, but
5 a.m.-ish.
Yeah, 10 minutes past or 15 minutes past, something around. Sometimes it's 10 minutes before 5 a.m. Around 5 a.m. I wake up every day. Even if I would have a later night, for example, say that I have that I went to a party, something like that. Well, unfortunately, it's been a long time ago because of this whole COVID thing, but still, I would still wake up around 5 a.m. because my body is now so used to it. It's a routine, and that is what I need to build in forever. So it's the same with the sports. It's the same with the nutrition. Actually, nutrition is a good example because recently I was one of the lucky ones that for business reasons I needed to fly. I was in the airport at the destination where I need to be in Warsaw, and there was a McDonald's over there. So I went to I was like, okay, it's been months ago that I had McDonald's, but I really. I mean, it used to be my big guilty pleasure. I ate it, and it was terrible for me.
The taste is
the taste is different. When satisfaction is also not there.
The thing is, when you change your nutrition for quite some times, like 90 days or something, like lots of vegetables and things like that, and then you're going to eat something like a McDonald's or like tomato ketchup. It's so sugary. I cannot taste it anymore.
Exactly.
And it's even a potato. It just feels. It tastes like nothing because it seems like all those years that you were eating the wrong stuff that really change your tastes. How do you say that? Your taste and. By going back to the roots, I call it. I mean, that's then you learn again to appreciate taste, and it's a very strange thing, eh?
Exactly, yeah. But it's all.
And also, your body says, your digestion is like you're screaming like Arvid. Stop this.
Exactly. So that is what that nutrition part does to me, and I'm very so it's a proof that these building in routines it works. It works for your body and it works for your mind because your mind is a big part of it. As well, obviously. And it's going to be, so the next part for me is definitely going to be exploring the possibilities of that mindfulness, headspace, meditation kind of stuff.
Headspace is really entry because it's really about just a minute or a couple of minutes. It's not like I had to train to 20 minutes. It takes weeks. Cold showers? Do you look at that?
Yes, exactly. I do that as well. It's also part of the program about stimulating the body, and so I do it. And in the beginning, indeed, it was after sports. I started with a hot shower and I turned it colder and colder. But now, recently, some of my trainers they have this new challenge. So every week we get new challenges via platform, and one of it is that we need to jump in the sea or in the Blaarmeersen in Ghent or whatever.
Yes.
So for me, I'm very excited because I come from Austin.
Did you do that already?
Not yet. But
I did it in November in the North Sea, in the Haan. And it was with 6 or 8 people, and it's called the Wim Hof Method, by the way. The Iceman.
The Iceman and the breathing style.
So you have to do 2 hours.
Yes.
With your clothes on, breathing. It's a kind of a circular breathing mechanism.
Yeah, you have to stimulate hyperventilation, controlled hyperventilation.
That's it. Yeah. And the thing is, then you have to get naked in your swimming shorts, and all these people are walking there with their clothes and are looking, what the kind of are these nutheads? And then you're doing some kind of, I don't know, fighting thing, but you're in really a very special place in your head. There is nothing. Yeah. You don't know who you are. There is nothing in there. You're just there with these people, and then you go into the sea, you sit down, you feel the cold entering in, you feel the panic attack of your breath, because you're trained with the cold showers also, but it's a different experience. Yes. And then you get in control of that reaction, that panic reaction. And then the moment you breathe out is longer than you're breathing in, and then you're calming down, and then suddenly there's some kind of switch in your body which goes on, and then the adrenaline kicks in, and there's like you feel like a warm how do you say that a warm jacket over your body. And your feet are freezing, but it's a very special sensation, and it's really a mindfuck, because then you feel like, damn, I can conquer the world. And it's like, because you're facing your own fears, and it's, oh man, that for me is the best experience.
I'm very excited for it.
But you need to do the 2 hours up front. If you're just going to jump in it, Yeah.
Well, I was going to say I come from Ostend, and in Ostend, which is a coastal city in Belgium, and there is a tradition which they call the polar bears,
the
ijsberen polar bears, yeah. So everybody jumps in. So I thought, okay, it's gonna be easy, right? I'm used to this because I used to do it in the past as well. But well, there is lots of alcohol involved. It's completely different, and it's tons of people. So this is going to be completely different. And now I hear you talk about it, and I see you getting excited.
It's the
and I'm
best
getting
experience.
Well.
It's yeah, and you should definitely check out the Wim Hof his story. I mean, what the guy did, it's amazing, and I was really looking for somebody to do it in Belgium. By the way, tomorrow, and it doesn't matter because there is no tomorrow because this episode is going to be within 1 month. We're now I don't know what we are, the 25th?
26th.
Yeah, the 26th. 25th. Tomorrow, 26th, is going to be the Wim Hof trainer in Belgium. I have recorded a podcast with him months ago.
Okay.
And is going to be live. And so he's talking about that experience and how he got to know Wim Hof.
Yeah.
And it's that guy who did the ceremony. It's unbelievable.
Crazy,
Yeah. I would do it again. I would do, and especially in the North Sea. I mean, in October. And the strange thing is, after that, I mean, I couldn't even, wipe off my feet because they were so frozen. And it's only 3 minutes. You cannot do that for 20 minutes, because then, and the thing is, you cannot even put your body into a warm shower because it would be very bad for you. So it would take hours and hours and hours, and then that night rest, it's
well, I hear it all the time, and I'm very excited for it actually. To conclude this, everything that is like together with for me, like the nutrition part, the sports part, the stimuli that you get in your body due to cold showering or this, that all together, I think makes me a better person. It makes me a better entrepreneur. It makes me a better salesman. It makes me a better manager, whatnot. So
it makes you also coming closer to who you really are, because that Wim Hof method is actually some kind of meditation. Eh?
It is.
Because you will not think about your term sheet or your VCs when you're just are going to go into the water, because you're so focus.
Even with the Wim Hof breathing, I didn't do the water, but I did the breathing.
It's the breathing.
It worked indeed, and I know that if my 26 or 24-year-old me would hear me saying this, he would be like, Arvid, what the fuck have you been smoking, man? Like, what's that? But it's all those things together are truly life-changing, actually.
And nothing is set in stone, and what's used to be your truth is no longer your truth, because, and if you're flexible in that you know, I don't know what I know, then, I mean, that's the way you should. I always try to look at things. If it's sales, it's your business model, it's its customers, with some kind of beginner minds, beginner eyes, and then then you can see amazing things.
But it's actually very good that you say that, because it makes you a more critical person and being critical about yourself as well,
and also humble.
Humbling. It's too. So maybe back to the question of how do you keep your ego in check? Maybe unconsciously that is part of the solution.
But with the Wim Hof methods and in the ice bath or the North Sea, I assure you, your ego will be crushed.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's the reason you're not jumping in naked, right? I mean, it's still very cold. So.
Yeah. Now, if you now would take a car, a DeLorean, but do you know the movie Back to the Future?
Yeah, I'm young, but I do know.
And you would go back and you would meet the Arvid, 16 to 18, just right before he went to university, still feeling safe from mommy and daddy. What advice would you give him?
It's a tricky question, because I am actually very happy that the things I did went the way they did, right? I mean,
they're a gift, eh? Although also even the pain you felt and all the struggle, and you had to sell your drum kit in order to eat. I mean, those are bad. There's also severe things.
There are obviously a lot of things that happened, but they shaped me the way I am today, right?
Yeah,
and you could say, like, for example, say that you would have studied law or you would have studied economics. Wouldn't that have been better for being an entrepreneur right now? And maybe some parts obviously would have been more would have been more useful than the fact that now I can tell cool stories about the Middle Ages.
Yes.
Right? But the thing is that, and actually I can put it very narrow-minded, if I wouldn't have studied history, for example, I may not have never met the guy in the suit at the bar, be introduced to sales, to the insurance industry, and maybe today I would have been something completely different or someone completely different. So,
that's indeed the correct answer, which I also would answer. But besides that, what then would you advise to yourself? Follow your heart, follow your instincts, follow your intuition, follow your gut feeling. Don't listen to anybody's other opinions. I don't know. What was for you like a big lesson, advice that you would give yourself? Because I have a lot. I'm actually writing a book about it.
There are actually a lot of things that I could think about. Back then I had the age where I thought that I did everything better and that I knew everything, right? That youthly arrogance, maybe even more than I have it still today. Because obviously, maybe in 3 or 4 years, I'm going to say, well, look at me in that podcast.
Let's talk within 10 years.
Within 10 years,
you have to be realistic.
Okay, or 10 years, whatnot. I would obviously or definitely tell myself to be critical and to be able to be critical about myself as well. Yet, if I need to pick one of the list that you just summed up, following your gut feeling is definitely that brought me where I am today. And
did you also did not listen to your gut feeling and did it anyway, and afterwards you realized maybe I just listened to the gut? That's something Frank told me.
There are a lot of times that actually that happened, and it's with major things. It's with smaller things. When earlier I was telling about we fired too late before, for example. There are a lot of occasions where I knew after the first week or the second week this is not going to work out, and 6 months later these people are still there. We're still trying, and that is actually that is an example of that. And I wish, and now. Even though I know it, and I know that I will make the mistake again, but it's a thing, and we can only learn, right? And it's like that with a lot of things, It's the same with our pivot. We pivoted very well with WeGroup, and now I'm talking very, very professionally. Our pivot was very successful, yet 3 months before our pivots, before there was even talk of shifting to B2B, I already knew that was what we had to do. And the thing is, and that's actually a funny thing, other people told me that might have been a good way, that the pivot would be good. And at that point, I said no, just because people said to me, you will have to pivot, you will have to go to B2B. And I said, no, I will make this B2C
because
thing
you want
work.
to prove it.
I want to prove it. But
that's an ego thing.
It's an ego thing, because if I was honest to myself, and I remember moments that I was sitting at home, and at a certain point I said to myself, they are right. We will have to pivot, right? But still, I didn't want to do it because I didn't want to be wrong. That was a huge.
You still have that. I want to prove to the world that I'm able to do it.
I hate to admit it, but yes, sometimes I do. Yeah, sometimes
there's no such thing as 100% or 0%.
No, of course not.
You're aware of it. You're conscious about it.
I'm aware of it. Even sometimes, and I came to the point now where sometimes, for example, my co-founders or other people in the company even say some things, and I know that I am wrong. And back in the day, and I have to restrain myself not to try to be right and to start arguing and say, no, we're going to do it this way, or make it, even if my last resort could have been like, yeah, but it's just the vision and the bigger plan that you're not seeing right now. I could say that, and I always have to restrain myself from that. And sometimes I even catch myself on the fact that I'm giving arguments where I already know, Arvid, you are just saying something because you want to be right, or because you don't want the other person to be right, but they are right. So shut the fuck up, Ale, and take it, because everybody wants the best for you or your company or the people around you. And
you pay them to use their brains, eh?
Obviously. But it's not always professional. It could be in a personal environment as well, in relationships, for example, where arguments are started, and I know that I'm not right, for example, and actually I should give up, but I don't, and now I'm coming more and more to the point that I realize these things, and that I can actually say, okay, well, it doesn't matter. They're not going to look different than me because I am wrong. On the contrary, they're probably going to be happier as well because, well, I am admitting that I'm wrong and we're going their way. So yeah, that's definitely, maybe that is something that this story I would tell to my 16 or 18-year-old self.
Okay.
Not to be the know-it-all and the, yeah.
And is there something professionally about WeGroup that's keeping you at night awake?
Yeah, a million things. I think there has to be. For every entrepreneur, there has to be. If you're not, that's at least that is what I believe. If you're not kept awake at night, and I'm literally staring at the ceiling.
Yeah, of course
things
not.
that go through your minds the last moment when you close your eyes, and the things that are still there, or when you open your eyes again. That is a part of entrepreneurship, because I live these things. They sometimes say the company is the baby, but it's more than that. It's
who you are.
It's who I am.
It's an extension of who you are.
Exactly. It's an extension of who I am. And so obviously there are things that keeping me awake, and sometimes it's big things, like revenue and getting targets and new strategies and product issues. And sometimes it's small things, like just how are the employees feeling, or there was somebody in the office today and he has a problem at home, and can I help him in a way? I want everybody to be happy in the company and things like that. And how can I improve things? So it's not like keeping me awake at night sounds like it's a bad thing, but it's totally not a bad thing, And sometimes people in the office, like I always say, like I need some time to think sometimes, and we have our office, it's nice. It's we have a very nice view as well of the Ghent skyline, as much as you can call that a skyline. And sometimes I just sit there and start thinking about things, thinking around a little bit. And people always when they walk in on me, they always say, like, you seem troubled. Is there a problem, or are you thinking about something? And obviously I'm thinking about, I'm not staring at the wall without thoughts, right? So obviously I'm thinking about, but it's a good thing. So I always like try to tell people, yes, but I'm improving something,
Yeah,
so,
you're like some kind of self-reflection phase.
Exactly. Exactly. Yes.
Cool. Is there something that we did not talk about?
Well, there are a million things we did not talk about, but
that you want to share.
No, I think we covered a lot of things, and actually found it very, very interesting. I think we talked about, we went a little bit from one way to another, which is very good. I think we covered a lot of topics, and it was really interesting. So I'm looking forward to hear the result, and obviously
for part two.
For a couple of years. That was exactly what I was going to say.
The sequel. I mean,
the sequel. Yeah.
That's why rock bands they wasted all their money, and then like the Six Pistols, they need to come back again because they need cash.
Exactly. So first comes the party and the alcohol part and other things like the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I'm completely ready for that, and then I'll be very happy to.
Don't you miss that playing music, man? I mean. If I play guitar with the bands, I'm not a sales guy. I'm just, it's like, I don't know how to say it. It's like some kind of beast, tiger in me, and it's an excuse to, unleash it and to, okay, we play party things, but I play with quite some distortion, some gain. So, it makes me feel like 18 again, like some, I don't know. I mean, you're a metal guy. I'm not really a metal guy, but I like playing metalish, rocky things, although it's pop, to give it some over-the-top, intense, non-subtle vibe. Because I play with a metal drummer, so he plays pop, but he's a metal guy. He's really a butcher, as we call it. He's like, so, I mean, it's loud, so I have to turn also up the amp, and it's that sensation, not so loud that your ears will bleed, not so loud, but still loud, not Trigger Figure loud, because they play loud, but or AC/DC loud, but don't you miss that?
I definitely do, and I do more now when you explain it like that, so thanks. But I obviously miss it. But there are tons of things that I miss, and that I say to myself, I want to make time for that again, and I will. I know I will when the time is there. Someday I will be behind the drums again, and I will be playing again, and I will love it. Same with travel. Back in when I was in university, I tried to travel as much as I can, or I could. And obviously, when you start a company, it's not possible. And I have the luck to be at a lot of conferences before Corona, so I traveled a lot. But it's not like you can say, okay, I'm leaving the company behind for 3 weeks to travel in the jungle, or.
But maybe when the company is a little bit bigger, it's possible indeed. Because, I mean...
Like I said, there is a time for everything. So will this happen again for me? I'm 100% sure. But today was not today. And it's the same with music. It's going to happen. I'm going to be behind that drum again. Will it be next week or within 6 months? We'll see.
And do you have a kind of a favorite band? Metal. What do I associate with metal? What is it then?
I really listen to everything, going from the hardest, most underground things that you can imagine that would make your ears bleed to very mainstream, old school heavy metal stuff like Iron Maiden and Metallica and things like that.
Okay. That's still heavy metal. I mean,
still,
Iron Maiden. That's very melodic.
It's obviously.
And Metallica.
But I liked it all. When I was in the band, we really played some what they call black metal, which is like the darkest of the darkest. The satanic. Exactly. Yeah, we had what they call corpse paint, so we were wearing a white and black makeup. We had crosses burning on stage, like burning is maybe a little bit big, but we had we had these candles on crosses, on big wooden crosses that we put on stage. We had one of our friends worked at the butchery shop, and he brought us pigs and sheep's blood to use on. So it was really the dirtiest thing that you could ever imagine, but it was amazing, And I still remember when we played on when we went on tours between brackets when we played in the Netherlands or in Germany or whatnot, and we played for a crate of beer, and that was what made us happy. It was very bad business because our fuel to get there costed more than what we got in return, but it was an amazing time.
It's fun,
It was great fun, and I'm very happy that I had it.
That's I wouldn't say boys, because we have also girls in our band, but that get together, that vibe, that over the top, I would call it rock and roll, because there's not a lot of drugs, or there's no drugs actually in our bands, even not a lot of alcohol, because I don't drink any alcohol anymore, and even any cigarettes either. But it's that intense vibe, especially pre-gig, that going to the gig, setting up, breaking up, and then having that. The total is more than the sum of the underlying parts, and connecting with that audience. I feel that is quite similar to when you are starting your startup with those people from the beginning. The first hour is that same mentality, I find, because you have that feeling we're going to conquer and change the world. Exactly,
that is exactly what it is. Yeah, and then you were playing, and the audience, if you're good enough, the audience is going with you as well, and you're still stressed. You feel the adrenaline, but it's going well, and you were having fun. People around you were having fun, and you were successful at that moment. Just successful enough to play the song that you wanted to play, But it's really a magical moment. So. I do miss it. I do miss it a lot. But like I said, there will be a time for it for sure in the near or further future. 100%.
I'm looking forward to that, and we will jam.
We will. I promise.
Although I'm not a chukka metal guitar player, I can fake my way into it.
I'll try not to be the butcher that much.
I have absolutely no problem with that, because no. But anyway. Arvid, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Peter.
It was really a pleasant and a joy having you. Thanks also for being so open and authentic, because that's actually what I appreciate about you. You're really a no bullshit guy, and I wish you all luck and good and success. And I'm pretty sure WeGroup is going to have a very lucrative and a very positive future ahead with you and your team.
Thank you very much, Peter. Talk to you soon.
Hey, it's Peter here. Thanks a lot for listening to What's on Your Mind. Looking forward to your opinions and comments. And don't forget to subscribe on psgrow.com and leave your email address to stay tuned for future episodes. Bye!